On August 7, 1106, the Holy Roman Empire experienced a significant loss with the death of Henry IV. Born in 1050, he ruled during a tumultuous time marked by power struggles, notably with the papacy. Henry IV ascended to the throne in 1056, taking on the challenges of a fragmented empire. His reign was characterized by the Investiture Controversy, battling against Pope Gregory VII over the appointment of bishops. During his reign, Henry IV faced revolts from his own son, Henry V, and powerful nobles. His ability to navigate these crises showcased his political acumen and resilience, though it was often fraught with conflict. Henry IV attempts to assert his control were often met with resistance, leading to his excommunication in 1076. He famously stood in the snow at Canossa, seeking absolution from the Pope, showcasing his desperation. Despite numerous setbacks, Henry IV's rule saw significant territorial expansion, as he worked to solidify the empire's borders against external rivals, particularly in Italy. Henry's strained relations with the Church continued to define his reign, impacting the balance of power between crown and clergy, a dynamic that persisted long after his death. As he grappled with personal and political challenges, Henry IV's later years were marked by a retreat into his own troubles, culminating in increasing isolation, even within his court. Henry IV's final years were spent fighting to retain his authority amid competing interests from the nobility and even his offspring. The empire's stability was precarious, teetering on the brink of chaos. On August 7, 1106, Henry IV passed away after a lengthy illness at Spires, leaving a legacy fraught with turmoil, yet immeasurable impact on European history. Henry IV's death marked the end of a turbulent reign and the beginning of a struggle for succession, illustrating the fragile nature of imperial power in medieval Europe. In the wake of his death, the conflicts he had faced, particularly with the Church and his own family, continued to reverberate throughout the empire, shaping its future. Henry IV's legacy extended beyond his death. Subsequent rulers cited his ambitions and conflicts as cautionary tales, influencing governance in medieval Europe for generations. The Investiture Controversy and Henry's struggles became central themes in later political discourse, affecting church-state relations long after his era. Henry IV's story served as a reminder of the precarious balance between authority and obligation, creating a framework for future rulers in their quest for power. His legacy continued in the form of legal reforms spurred by his reign, as future rulers sought to establish clearer lines of power and governance. Henry IV's life and struggles also inspired literature and artistic works, capturing the complexities of his reign in various forms throughout the years. Following Henry's death, the power dynamics between the imperial throne and papacy continued to evolve, a direct reflection of the issues he grappled with during his reign. Henry IV indirectly paved the way for the rise of notable successors, including his son, Henry V, whose actions were influenced by the complexities of his father's legacy. The Investiture Controversy gave rise to political thought regarding the separation of church and state, themes that became pivotal in later European history. In the centuries following his death, the consequences of Henry IV's reign were studied and debated, shaping doctrines of governance and authority. Overall, Henry IV's life and reign became a rich subject for analysis, informing the political landscape of not just Europe, but also influencing leadership styles in various monarchies. In the early hours of August 7, 1106, surrounded by advisors and nobles, Henry IV drew his last breath in his castle in Liège, Belgium. The air was thick with tension as murmurs of concern rippled through the opulent chambers. Henry IV rose to power in 1056, becoming king at just 6 years of age, a time marked by regency and political machinations that set the foundation for his complex reign as Holy Roman Emperor. Throughout his reign, Henry IV's struggle for power with the papacy defined his legacy, particularly during the Investiture Controversy, which challenged the authority of rulers over church appointments and fundamentally altered the relationship between church and state. Amidst the political tension, Henry's authority was challenged by his own son, Prince Henry, who led a revolt against him, culminating in a heartbreaking familial struggle that illustrated the fractious nature of his reign. The emotional toll from these internal conflicts weighed heavily on Henry IV, leading to his excommunication by Pope Gregory VII in 1076, an event that underscored his vulnerability and prompted a pivotal pilgrimage to Canossa for absolution. Despite these challenges, Henry IV's reign included significant territorial expansions, bolstering the empire's borders and influence during a time of fluctuating power dynamics in Europe. As his reign progressed, however, the cumulative effects of strife took their toll, leading to Henry IV's eventual isolation as he lost support from powerful nobles once allied to him. The twilight of Henry IV's reign was marked by increasing unrest and rebellion, culminating in his eventual downfall as his enemies rallied to challenge his authority amidst instability within the empire. In his final days, Henry IV found himself reflecting on his long reign, grappling with the legacy he would leave behind and the precarious state of his empire as he lay on his deathbed. Henry IV succumbed to illness on August 7, 1106, in Liege, leaving behind a fractured empire and a legacy defined by both his achievements and failures in power. His tumultuous reign and personal struggles gave rise to enduring debates about the role of the emperor versus the church, shaping the governance of European states for centuries to come. Henry IV's conflicts with the church also laid the groundwork for legal reforms regarding the relationship between church and state, profoundly impacting political structures throughout Europe. Ultimately, Henry IV's life and struggles have inspired various literary and artistic works reflecting on the theme of power, leadership, and the burden of rule, as seen through the lens of history. Henry IV's legacy is a cautionary tale, warning future rulers of the dangers of overreach and the delicate balance required in the governance of a diverse and powerful empire. The echo of Henry IV's reign is especially evident in the actions and policies of his son, Henry V, who sought to learn from his father's turbulent legacy in attempting to stabilize the empire. Henry IV's enduring influence shaped not only the imperial framework of governance, but also provided a backdrop for the evolution of political thought in medieval Europe. The changes initiated during Henry IV's reign resonated through the ages, influencing the development of the concept of divine right of kings and the role of papacy in the governance of states. Henry IV's reign also illustrated the fragility of power, as his struggles became symbolic of the broader conflicts that would continue to shape the socio-political landscape of Europe for decades to come. The visions set forth by Henry IV in the face of adversity continue to resonate in the frames of contemporary governance, a testament to the endurance of his lessons learned through tumult. On August 7, 1106, history bore witness to the passing of Henry IV, a pivotal figure in medieval Europe whose reign was defined by turmoil and conflict. Ascending to power at just 6 years old, Henry IV began a reign in 1056 that would see him wrestle with the complexities of leadership and governance. Henry IV's reign was shadowed by the Investiture Controversy, where his authority was openly challenged by Pope Gregory VII over the right to appoint bishops, showcasing the struggle between church and state. Alongside these external challenges, Henry faced revolts from his own son, Prince Henry, highlighting the fractious nature of his rule and familial strife. In 1076, he faced excommunication from Pope Gregory VII, a pivotal moment that forced him to undertake a perilous pilgrimage to Canossa, seeking absolution. Despite these personal battles, Henry IV was able to achieve significant territorial expansions, notably in Italy and Central Europe, which strengthened the empire but also fueled discontent among rival factions. However, internal discord and loss of support from the nobility ultimately weakened Henry's hold on power, leading to an increasingly isolated existence. As he faced his final moments, surrounded by advisors and nobles, Henry reflected on the tumultuous legacy he would leave behind. He passed away in his castle in Liège, Belgium, marking the end of a reign filled with conflict and ambition. Henry IV's death initiated a struggle for succession, revealing the fragile nature of imperial power that characterized his reign and the subsequent years. The conflicts and controversies he faced during his life continued to influence the empire after his passing, shaping church-state relations for future rulers. Henry IV's struggles not only inspired legal reforms but became subjects of artistic exploration, echoing through literature and political discourse in medieval Europe. He is remembered as a cautionary tale about the perils of overreach in leadership, a theme that resonated through generations of rulers who followed. The legacy of Henry IV also served to shape the ambitions of his son, Henry V, who sought to stabilize and strengthen the empire in the wake of his father's tumultuous reign. Henry IV's life and reign influenced debates around governance, contributing to a legacy that questioned the relationship between sovereign power and the church. The story of Henry IV remains a pivotal chapter in the history of the Holy Roman Empire, underscoring the complexities of leadership amid strife and conflict. After his death, Henry IV's legacy prompted reflections on the balance between power and reverence, influencing how future rulers approached governance. Henry IV's heavy-handed approach and steadfastness against the papacy offered lessons to both religious and secular leaders in negotiations and power management. The narrative of Henry IV's life, with its triumphs and tribulations, continues to be examined by historians, teaching lessons on the dynamics of leadership in turbulent times. In summary, Henry IV stands as an emblem of imperial complexity, his story informing the evolution of governance and power well beyond his own time.